There, everybody, and today I'm reviewing Friday the 13th Part 2. So I was going to review this last week, but I felt like reviewing Scooby-Doo. But now we're here to talk about Friday the 13th Part 2. So this came out, I think, the early 80s. And I think it's an okay sequel. But this time, we actually do get Jason Voorhees. Because, spoilers, the last one, it was actually Jason's mom. But it turns out Jason Voorhees is actually alive and he's out for revenge when a group of teenagers go to the same camp he drowned at. And he's here to kill a bunch of people. So this movie's okay. It seems a lot better paced than the first one, in my opinion. Most people think the Friday the 13th movies are like, I don't know, most of them get pretty silly, but this is like, I think the first couple are like the standards when it comes to like slasher movies. But yeah, it has some creepy imagery, and yeah, the deaths are pretty creative, but it follows the formula where someone's stalking these teenagers and we see like large boots. But the opening was actually pretty interesting. The girl from the last movie who survived fighting Jason's mom, turns out she's having nightmares about Jason. And I actually learned from the YouTuber Dead Meat that she actually improvised these scenes, the actress. But it turns out she gets killed by Jason very early in the movie. So much for a final girl. That's usually how it goes for the horror movies. But she's killed by Jason, but in this movie, he doesn't wear his iconic mask. That is until the third one. Instead, he wears a sack. And apparently the actor had trouble trying to move around in it because he was just wearing a pillow sack the whole movie. But he does put on this creepy-looking mask one of the teenagers puts on. But we get a lot of wild scenes in this movie since one of the rules in horror movies is you don't have sex, but there's a lot of sexual scenes in this movie and a lot of innuendos. And I looked up at the IMDb of this movie, and apparently it's moderate. But like we literally see nudity in this movie, and I don't know if that's a nitpick. I'm randomly complaining about nudity. I guess it's up for people's interpretation, but I don't know. It's just like honestly, a little taken back. We see that in a horror movie because this one girl, she literally goes in the water naked, and it's wild that they had her do that scene. But apparently we got this one perverted guy who early in the movie he like shoots like a slingshot at her, and apparently he gets tied up later and he gets murdered by Jason. But then the girl who went naked, she gets killed off screen. But most of the other deaths are pretty creative. Like, there's this wheelchair dude who falls down the stairs after Jason impales him with a spike or something, and he falls to his death. I thought that was a pretty creative death. But yeah, most of the other deaths are pretty wild. Like these two teenagers, I'm describing it as teenagers. I know they have names, but I don't remember them. I'm sorry. But they get impaled by Jason while they're having sex, and they're way too young for this scene. But what mainly happens is there's this other girl who is the last girl standing, as most of the other friends, and I think this one other dude, they actually get chased by him, and apparently we do learn that she was like doing psychology. And she's actually able to pretend to be Jason's mom. And earlier in the movie, we actually see Jason's mom's head in the fridge. This reminds me of the scene in Scream 6. I bet that movie took inspiration from this movie, which is interesting. But they put the head on. They actually find the head and they put it near somewhere. And the girl pretends to be Jason's mom and actually calls him Jason. And I think she discovered it early in the movie. But what also happens is, like, if you're wondering if there's cops in this movie, there is this one cop who is, like, he dresses regularly for some reason. And he actually finds a little cabinet Jason built in his little home. But I think he was killed, I'm pretty sure. But the way Jason's taken out, I think he's almost impaled through the shoulder by the girl, but she manages to get out of there and go into the cabin with her boyfriend, I guess. But earlier in the movie, it suggested Jason killed a dog in this movie. And I was like, no, not the dog. But then it turns out the dog actually is alive. And that was a fake dog. But that's where we get this jump scare scene of Jason. And we actually see his face is all mortified. And it took them like 6 weeks to build. But I think that movie ends like kind of like a dream sequence or not. Who knows? But I think the movie ends, and that's Friday the 13th Part 2. So, yeah, mostly the movie was pretty boring. I think it's a little bit better than the first one, but the first one was probably more iconic, but this one feels more nicer because they actually have Jason Voorhees. But in the third one, he finally dons his iconic mask. But as these movies went on, like I said earlier, they kind of just become silly horror movies. But hey, why not? That's not a bad thing necessarily, since horror movies, you can just have fun with it. For sure. So I'd probably give this movie, why not a 5 out of 10? But next review, we will probably do, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll do Halloween 2 or something random horror. If you people want to request it, go ahead. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.